Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And thank you all for taking your time to listen to the Holla Black podcast or watch wherever you may be watching from. Now, we believe that everyone has a capacity to be a brave leader that's accountable to communicating knowledge. That's what Black stands for. That's what we truly stand on. And we hope that you see these episodes and conversation starters to grow our community and be stronger each and every single day. So please stay connected and consider subscribing to our podcast and our YouTube site, as well as liking and following and sharing this podcast so that we can encourage more and more people to be better today than they were yesterday. Now, once again, before we get everything started, I would love to start this bad boy off, this episode off with a quote. Our quote for today is, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always just try one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's brought to us by Thomas Edison. Once again, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always just try one more time. Now, I also want to share a Bible verse that correlates and is really in conjunction with this episode that we're going to talk about today. But like that Bible verse, it comes from 2 Timothy 1-7. And it says, for God has not given us the spirit of timidity, right? But of power and love and discipline, right? So like he hasn't given us the spirit of fear. Fear by definition, and specifically what we're going to talk about today, is that concern, that high level of anxiety. Today's episode podcast, I want to share with you some ways that I truly believe we together can overcome fear. Once again, that definition of fear that I want to hit on today is concern or anxiety. Now, other definitions might be specific instance or propensity of such a feeling, right? Like just a feeling of discomfort. Another definition also can be something that causes feelings of dread or apprehension, right? Some thing that a person may be afraid of. You may be afraid of snakes. You may be afraid of heights. You may be afraid of, public speaking. You may be afraid of really just putting yourself out there in large crowds, large groups. You may be one that is just a little bit more timid. But as I said, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but power, love, and discipline. So with that being said, let's dive into these things that we have a opportunity, to overcome. And how should I say we overcome these practical ways overcoming fear personally and professionally. Okay. So first things first, let me drop that on there. Boom, 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 boom. Number one, acknowledge your fear. Do you take the time to just acknowledge the fact that you might be fearful? Now, I can just think of some personal ways of being fearful that, am I being the best husband? Am I being the best father? Am I being the best friend? Right. But then also, from a professional aspect, man, am I holding things down professionally? Right. Am I putting my best foot forward? Am I showing up as the best version of Rynell and giving my all? Right. You got to acknowledge those things. Right. Like, am I doing these? And almost do a self-reflection or a self-assessment and check the things off that that you would consider another person, being great or doing something of significance, right? Are they following their blueprint, so to speak, in order to do that, right? So recognize and name your fear. That's acknowledging, right? Like, I acknowledge the fact that sometimes, from a, just regular normal, hey, like, I recognize that I don't want my team to lose. My team, Ohio State, was just in the national championship game. And I recognize the fact that I was very fearful that we weren't going to show up. The team that I've been seeing for the last couple of weeks or whatnot, was not going to show up. You got to recognize that. You got to name that fear. But then you got to understand, right, that what you're afraid of allows you to address it effectively instead of avoiding it. When you're able to recognize that thing. When you're able to name it, now you can address it effectively. You can properly look at what are some of the things that I can do, in order to be the very best person that I wish to be, right? In order to, be the best husband, father, the best wife, whatever you may be, right? In order to show up at the gymnasium, right? And, give my best game, in order to show up to the field, right? In order to show up to whatever, it is, that start line, right? Are you recognizing that fear and are you naming it? All right, here we go. We are back. We're talking about acknowledging your fear. And yes, I got a quick call and I'm excited to bring them in. I have Eduardo and Natalie Cabanas. Say what's up to the people.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Now, just to give you guys, to catch you all up, what we're doing, we're talking about 10 practical ways that we can overcome fear, whether it be personal, professional, whatever the case may be. And you all just jumped in. Should I say, I'm bringing you in right at number 1. So acknowledging your fear, recognizing, naming your fear, and understanding that what you're afraid of allows you to address it effectively instead of just avoiding it. Do you guys, have you ever had to acknowledge any fears?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that every person out there can relate to, right? The first step of being able to overcome a fear is first just having that self-awareness that you even have it. So saying it, naming it, being able to describe it, I think is just something that can help you take one step closer to, beating it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, and it just came to mind. Do you know that I used to have a fear of speaking in front of people?
I don't believe that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no way.
So serious. No. I did. I mean, I was always very too much concerned with, man, am I saying the right things? Am I pronouncing the words correctly? Am I, saying the person's name right? How are they going to receive me now? And I don't know if you know this, but I really enjoy being around people. I enjoy collaborating with people. And I really don't want to upset certain folks, right? Especially in the workplace.
Right.
With that being said, me having high level of anxiety, high concern for the way other people thought, right, of my performance was always kind of one of those things. And I had to acknowledge that.
Right. I can totally relate to that. You can ask Natalie, my wife, always having the fear of public speaking in front of people, how I'm going to sound. Is my vocabulary up to par? Am I speaking clearly? Just growing up, my parents come from Mexico City, so learned Spanish and English at the same time. And, growing up, you definitely have a blend of the two where the accent was prevalent, very prominent and noticeable. And throughout time, definitely it was one thing that would always be in the back of my mind where I didn't want to speak. And I was more of the quiet person, just kind of reserved just because I didn't want to feel judged or didn't want to say anything out of line or just, can I hold a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And once I got to a certain age, I don't remember what age, but, learning, reading books, self-growth, self-development, personal development is one of my favorite topics.
Right on. Yes, we are. Yes,
throughout that fear, talking about fears, I learned that was a fear. And I had to really dig deep and figure out why that was my fear. And I slowly, throughout time, learned that it was just growing up with two different languages at the same time where I was mixing the two. Yeah. So you really have to dive deep in with your fears and kind of get to the root of where that's coming from. And then now my thing is, whatever gives me anxiety or some kind of fear, it's my sign to kind of tackle that on and just kind of go head in first and just, push through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because you told me something before running a marathon weekend, going down to Walt Disney, doing the Dopey challenge. You were like, hey, bro, we do tough things, right? Like we lean towards tough things instead of avoiding them. And that's what a lot of people have a tough time even doing with their fears, right? Like identifying them and effectively just really allowing for them to come out in order for them to be able to tackle it. Right. So
Right.
number one thing that you must do is acknowledge that fear. Now, with that being said, bro, I definitely want to keep moving because I know you don't have a lot of time. You guys, I just kind of brought you on here very quickly and without any preparation, any knowledge of you coming on here. But hey, we're here. We're here now. Come on. So
Right.
We're gonna move on.
It made us nervous.
Hey.
And, you know, talking about eagerly doing hard things.
Absolutely.
We just decided to go with it.
Let's go. We're going with it. All right, here we go. So that's number one is acknowledging your fear. Number two, breaking it down. So what I mean by breaking it down is, you know, really dividing those overwhelming fears into very small, manageable steps. Oftentimes I hear the analogy, I don't know why people use this, but I understand it. They say, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So what we're talking about is with those fears, breaking them down, tackling each step individually to build confidence and reduce intimidation. I'm going to go back to that speaking thing. The more and more and more that I did it in front of people, the more I heard my voice, the more I practiced that thing. Oh my goodness, bro. It was like, I'm now able to get up there confidently and speak and hear my voice and, you know, speak to other people, whether people like it or not, it just kind of ends up being like, hey, that's your prerogative, right? Like my thing is that I am building confidence and I'm reducing the intimidation that this public speaking thing brings apart, right? So breaking things down, thinking about, you know, marathon training. I know and I'm speaking to all our runners right now. We got, you know, Eduardo Cabanas, AKA Crop Top Eddie. Man, tell me about like, bro, you right now are embarking on, I believe, your first marathon, correct?
Marathon. This is true. This is correct.
So tell me about this whole, you know, because you're going through the training phase and, you know, with any marathon, you should train and you shouldn't just go out there and run 26.2 miles. But how you train is by breaking it down. And tell me, man, how are you breaking it down?
Well, I used to be one to say, and you can ask Natalie, I'm never going to run a marathon. The first person that ran a marathon in ancient Greek times died, and that was my sign. So I was like, no, never going to do that. I hate running, not going to do it.
Okay.
Then seeing Natalie pursue that, it motivated me. So how I started to break it down was last year, 2024, I told myself I'm just going to run 1 mile a day. So kind of breaking it down, chipping away little by little, instead of trying to go run 3 miles or a 5K or a 10K when I haven't put in the work. I said, let me baby step my way into this. And, you know, a mile to a lot of people can be a lot, or a mile to other people can be not enough. So, but to me, I said, this is getting my time on my feet and just taking it little by little each day. And then the miles got longer throughout the weeks and months. So taking it in baby steps.
Taking it in baby steps. Now, Natalie, I know you have completed a couple, matter of fact, quite a few marathons. Breaking it down, thinking about like some of those fears, like what was it like stepping to that first start line of a marathon?
Well, because you've never done that before in life. You have all different types of emotions, right? There's some anxiety, there's some nerves, there's some excitement. But I think one of the coolest things about running a marathon for the first time is just to think, you know, you can do it at almost any age. There's people out there proving, you know, that you can do it late into all the years of life. And to think that the older you get, there's still something that you can accomplish that you've never done in life ever. It's just such a cool and exhilarating and set yourself on fire type of thing. So yeah, I mean, towing the start line of your first marathon is probably one of the coolest experiences that you can ever have. And that's why, yeah, it's definitely cool to see Eduardo going after his first. Anybody that's listening to this that thinks it's not possible,
Yeah.
talk to anybody that's done it,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll tell you a million reasons why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to tell you something even crazier, right? So talking about this Dopey challenge where we did a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and then full marathon, not like in one race. I'm talking about over a series of days. I had so much anxiety going into that weekend. I had so much fear going into that weekend. But the way I broke it down, you guys, I just thought about not only the training, because I've trained for a marathon before, but I've never trained for, back to back to back, day after day, doing a race, a timed race at that. But, I thought about it in a sense of, man, it's just 1 mile at a time. Each step, right? Each step takes you closer. And then having the experience of the Disney experience just made it even more exciting, more fun, and more enjoyable, right? To tackle each and every single mile and have that celebratory photo with a character or whatever the case it may be. And I even encourage you, Eduardo, as you embark on this new journey of completing your first marathon, like I even encourage you to look at those gratitude miles, right? Like, and think about the fact that, man, I used to only be able to do 1 mile, but here I am now able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 26.2. I used to hate heels. And now I know your phrase is, what's your phrase about the heels, bro?
I love heels, baby. I love heels.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. And even in heel training, right? Even in running a hill, you got to break that thing down. It's one step at a time.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing that I tell myself when I'm running and when things get really hard. My last half marathon, I wanted a PR.
Yeah,
it was getting a little tough. And one thing that I always would tell myself, and I got this from the movie Creed.
Ooh, okay, come on.
It's one breath at a time, one step at a time, 1 mile at a time. And then I kept repeating that out loud. And there was just something where versus saying it in your mind and saying it out loud.
Yes.
When I said it out loud,
yes,
I began to believe it. I began to say it and I began to actually do it. So yeah, mindset, man.
Hey, mindset. And not only does it build confidence in mentally, but physically, I feel like you build so much confidence in the capacity that you can give, right? Just breaking that thing down, take it into small steps, but manageable steps, right? And each step individually, just building that confidence, reducing the intimidation that large goal or that large thing may have. Now that's number 2, breaking it down. Number 3, this is where I think you guys are going to love Eduardo and Natalie, because this right here, number 3 is prepare and plan, right? Prepare and plan. That, I mean, when we're talking about truly like not only getting rid of fear, but tackling it, right? Knocking it out the park and becoming stronger. And the way that you do that, not number 1, not number 2, but also number 3 is preparing and planning, right? Whether if it's in a professional setting, right? Preparing might help you reduce that fear significantly of, presenting to your team, of turning in that, that draft or that big project that's due. But it also could be, that big decision that you have to make. Being well prepared boosts so much confidence. Now, I know you too wake up early in the morning because I see it on social media all the time, right? You can follow at Natty Legs, follow at Crop Top Eddie, follow at Eduardo Cabanas, follow at Natalie Cabanas. I'm just giving you all your handles out here right now. But you know what I mean? Like, I follow you guys and I see how you're preparing and planning not only for your day, but also for your month, for your year. Like, talk to me a little bit about that. How has that helped you in tackling some fears or maybe even some areas of significance when trying to get things done?
Oh man, yeah, this topic definitely gets us fired up. But I got this from Nat. She really put me on the whole planning and strategizing and habit tracking. So I'm gonna let her take this one.
Okay. Switching over to that.
Yeah. So I would say that one of the things that, well, we like to say, or a phrase that we like is to call it the Cabanas way. The way is, we believe that planning your day out, waking up early, starting with gratitude, and tracking your habits. If you do those 4 things on a regular basis, that you will live the best version of your life.
Hold on. That was good. You got to go back. You got to give me that Cabanas way. Hold on. Say that again now.
The Cabanas way. We believe that if you plan out your day, you wake up early, you start with gratitude, and you track your habits. If you do those 4 things on a daily basis, that you will live the best version of your life. And yeah, we've proven it. I'm really proud to say that this is the 3rd year that we've actually tracked our habits on a daily basis. And, to your point, attacking a fear or like going after any goal, how do you know if you're making progress unless you're keeping track? I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm so frustrated because I'm not getting anywhere. And it's like, well, how do you know you're not getting anywhere if you're not actually keeping track of what you're doing? Yeah. You could have been getting somewhere, but you just don't even know because you have no data to prove it. So yeah, I mean, I think from the outside looking in, like tracking if you got up early or not might seem silly to somebody, but that's how we started waking up at 4 a.m. It wasn't a overnight thing, but instead we did it, over months. We went from waking up at 5:30 all the way to waking up at 4, and that took about 6 months time. So just going back to your point and kind of like your question from the get-go, if you plan out what you want to do, if you have a plan, if you have actionable steps that are small to attack, say, something that feels big, then you are able to, tick off each one of those small steps, gain that confidence, and before you know it, you'll have accomplished something big or tackled, a big fear that you have.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's good because, oftentimes I'm always in conversations about, goal setting and, hey, like, what are some ways or some nuggets or some tips that you would give? And that preparation aspect, that planning aspect, right? Writing your goals down, being able to read them, being able to share them, right? Having them in the forefront of your mind just allows for you to be so much more confident, so much more, when you're sharing them, it shows the love, the care, the passion, right? That you have in it. And that's what gets rewarded, right? I feel like that's one of those secrets to success, so to speak, right? Where it's like, hey, if you continue to prepare yourselves, right? What do we talk about? I always talk about this equation for success: preparation plus opportunity equals success. If you prepare and plan, you will be successful when the opportunity comes, right? And and I mean, I just think about the fact that if I don't train for this marathon, right, then I'm not going to be successful. If I don't create a plan, if I don't follow that plan, then I'm pretty much throwing a question mark in the air whether, on what to do. I won't know about nutrition. I won't know about my hydration. And then that's where the big issues come from, is because we lacked that area of preparation and planning. And ultimately, a lot of people don't finish. A lot of people don't reach that finish line. They don't reach the level of success or reaching their goals because of that lack of preparation, that lack of planning. Man, like that is something. And I love the fact that you all share it on social media. You share it to your friends, your family, because you allow them to see the steps, right? It's not just that you're talking it. It's like, hey, let me show you, this is exactly what I'm doing. The proof is in this pudding. Yeah. So that when they see the success, it's like, man, how did they do that? Right? How did they get over the fear of, being able to talk about their goals or talk about their plans or talk about how they prepare? Oh, well, they just did it. They did it on a daily basis. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like, man, how do I get into a crop top? I have to prepare and plan.
You have to plan.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. It comes from nutrition and it comes from physical fitness. So no, that right there is good. So that's number 3. And I'm gonna keep the party going because I know we could talk forever, and I know you guys have to go, but I don't. But I want to give you as much time, or give, should I say, the listeners and everyone else as much time as these things deserve. Number 4 is reframing your mindset. Okay, reframing your mindset. View fear as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat. Right. So let's reframe this thing. So instead of it's a threat against me, right, it's an opportunity for me to grow. Eduardo, you said that a little bit earlier, right? Just leaning into the hard things, reminding yourself that discomfort often accompanies progress and learning. Now, my wife will tell you we are forever learners, right? We are forever learners. And a lot of times that we are fearful is because it's something that we haven't done. Right. Like it's something that is just brand new territory. It's new. It's just so new to us that, the discomfort is something that we'll shy away from because we like to be comfortable. Right?
Oh yeah.
We love our
Yep.
comfort things, right? We love to be safe. And our mind oftentimes will tell us, hey, stay the safe route. Right. Keep it in a safer frame. Like when it
Yep.
comes to reframing your mindset, right? Has there ever been an opportunity that you've seen was for growth rather than as a threat? Either one of you. Either one.
Oh yeah. Every day, right? I mean, every day. Mindset is an everyday choice.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we always start our day with gratitude, because gratitude is a choice.
Yeah.
It's a decision, right? It doesn't just come. Gratitude is an active decision. And yeah, those opportunities show up every day, right? Whether it's traffic, right? You have the choice to either let the traffic bother you, and I'm guilty. Yeah, traffic, can get to me, right? So, but which is why we start our day the way that we do and as early as we do, because it sets the tone for the day. It sets the mindset for the day. It took me a while to be about gratitude and seeing opportunities, right? Even something as simple as the opportunity to ask the cash register person, how's your day?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned from that. I wasn't used to doing that.
Yeah.
But I saw her do that, and she was being the light for me and for that person. She was showing me how to tap in or how to use this opportunity to make someone smile and maybe even make their day. Because nobody really asks them how their day is going, right?
They just look at them as providing a service.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nat wants to say something.
Yeah, I've read this book not too long ago, but the name of it really hit me. It's called "Start Your Day with Yay," it just talks about it literally just talks about all the different pockets of life where there's so many opportunities for you to like insert excitement or energy or light in people's day. And a great example is literally just treating somebody at the grocery store as an actual person and not just, to your point, somebody doing a service for you.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset, right? Like the hard truth is anybody's life could be worse. Any day could be worse. There's so many things that literally could be going wrong. But if you could just change your mindset and literally think about all the things that you do have, I mean, your day will be completely different. If you just listed out all the blessings in your life, and just looked at that list every single day, or, just try to list one. I mean, you will be amazed at how the mindset will shift. I mean, I know people that just wake up angry, myself included. And I'm like, why am I so angry? And then I'm like, man, we think we live in this life where we immediately wake up and we think we didn't get enough. We didn't get enough sleep. We didn't get enough time to get to work. It's never enough. And if you can switch that mindset to thinking, that you are abundant and you have these blessings, it will change the course of your day. And that's all just your mindset.
It's interesting that you say that. When you were sharing that, it got me to thinking, I used to wake up comparing myself to people. Right. And I took that as a threat. I even thought about Eduardo, when you were talking about, speaking to the cashier, right? Speaking to, that person at the cash register. It's like, I possibly, if my wife would have did that, I may have taken that as a threat. Like, why are you speaking to this person that you don't even know? Right. Versus, I love the way that you reframe that as far as growth. Man, let me try that. Right.
Well,
Like, go ahead.
Really quick, not to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
But that's literally what my mindset was when I was first exposed to Nat doing that. I was like, why is she doing that? Because I wasn't used to it, right? But it's funny because doing the right thing takes twice as much as twice the amount of energy.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody can have a bad attitude.
Absolutely.
Anybody cannot say hi to anybody. But if you want to be different, it takes double the effort.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to dare to be different. I remember my grandmother always used to say that, Ronell, dare to be different. Right. And to your point, it does. It takes double the effort. And I think a lot of people sometimes may just get careless with giving the effort. It's just like, oh, it's none of my business. I don't care. Or maybe they care, but they don't, they're threatened by the conversation that may come from it. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you never know, again, what you could learn from just that interaction, just that, opportunity, so to speak. Right. Like we talk about, instead of looking at it as a threat, look at it as an opportunity for growth. Right. Like I look at you, E, and man, you are a speed demon, bro. You are one of the fastest people. Like, good gracious. And I thought that I was going to be able to train with you. I'm not going to lie. I was going to say, hey, E, let's get some miles in. Let me know when you're going to hit the trails or the, whatever. And then you start to tell me your miles per minute or your minutes per mile, whichever. I was like, well, maybe I'll get on that electric bike, right? Maybe I'll just be there for, and I kind of looked at it very as a threat versus, man, this is an opportunity for me actually to get with somebody that I know, I care about, and actually possibly get faster, get stronger, get better, right? Just by being around you, just by being with you, right? And just also recognizing, man, before I ran, I walked. After I walked, I jogged, right? Like, so there was a process that came through. And now I'm able to reframe my mindset and say, well, there's an opportunity for growth there, right? Like I thought I was doing good. I'm doing great, blah, 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 blah. And man, you know what? I probably could get a little bit faster, right? Now I enjoy my crowd. I enjoy my group. I truly believe your race, your pace, right? Whatever it is. But I think that there's always an opportunity for growth, and we should view fear and reframe our mindset as this is an opportunity for us to get better versus something that can harm us. Okay.
Right.
So that's,
I want to say one last thing.
Go ahead.
On the topic of the threat, right? Just one question, rhetorical question for you, your listeners. Next time we feel a threat because someone is doing something or says something or is accomplishing something, it relates to mindset. Maybe next time ask yourself, why do I feel threatened? And like really try to dig deep and answer that question on your own. Right? It's not for right now. Like, why do I feel threatened? Why is it bothering me?
Yeah. And
then that's where you really start to dive deep into the mindset and allowing yourself to make that mindset shift. So a question for your listeners, question for you.
No,
for the next
you're right.
time we feel threatened.
You're right. You know what? I'm going to take it on a personal perspective. And you just gave me something that was really good. I'm going to take it personally, right? I'm going to take it personally to, I feel like it's a threat against men. No, I'm going to say it's a threat against me when I am compared to other guys in my relationship, right? Like, I mean, granted, my wife does not do that often, right? But like mentally, I feel threatened by if I see, another dad spending more time with their kids, or I feel more threatened when I see the comparison or hear the comparison of other men and how they, treat their wives or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't have to do that and it's like, no, well, maybe it's an opportunity, right? Like with the different
Right.
holidays that come up, I can easily say, well, I show my wife love every day of the year, 365. Well, hold on. Instead of looking at it as a threat, as far as this holiday is coming up, instead of looking at it as a threat, look at it as an opportunity, right? Like
Right.
to step outside and say, hey, honey, what are some things that you would like to do? And let's do them together. Right. And that is an
Yep.
opportunity for your relationship to grow and get even the closer. Oh my goodness. Reframing mindset right there. Number 4. And we're going to keep moving because I know I keep telling people I'm not trying to hold you forever. We might have to do a part 2. Matter of fact, this is going to be the last point. This is point number 5. It's going to be the last point because we're going to have to do a part number 2. And Eduardo, Natalie, hopefully you guys can be a part of that one as well because this has been awesome. I don't know if you feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel it, but I'm feeling it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love this. I love this.
Awesome. So we're going to end right here. We're going to end with this 5th one, this 5th thing that helps us to overcome fear. Practice visualization. Gosh, that's a tongue twister. And I got these little braces on, whatever the case may be. Neither here nor there. Number 5, practice visualization, right? Imagine yourself successfully handling that situation. Positively visualizing helps create a sense of calm, right? A sense of readiness, right? Like I'm ready for this thing because I've mentally prepared. I've mentally seen this already come to pass, right? Like this is in a sense a deja vu. There are so many times in life as a father, I'm going to get a great opportunity to see my son playing a basketball game today. And I'm visualizing him making that shot and running down court happy, right? And I'm hoping that, as an athlete, many of them out there, that you all are practicing visualization as well. I don't know why I keep getting tongue-tied over that word, but neither here nor there. We want to think through, hey, what is it going to feel like? What is it going to look like when I'm standing in front of that crowd of thousands and, cheering them on or encouraging them to have a great race or encouraging them to, go after their successes, to, get over those fears, right? Is there opportunity? And have you guys ever experienced any moments where you had to practice those visualization techniques, so to speak?
Yeah, I would definitely say something super recently that hits home, and that would be this December when I was running the Honolulu Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
I told Eduardo this right after the races. It was my 3rd marathon, and a bunch of people had told me that anytime you run a marathon, you should set multiple goals for a number of reasons, but essentially, a time goal, a feel goal, and an experience goal. So, hours of you running, just in case one goal goes out the window, you have an opportunity to still hit the other one. So for me, one of my goals was that I just wanted the PR. That was the safe goal. The truth was that I really wanted to break 4. And I remember while I was running, since I had so much time to think about it.
Yeah, because when she says break 4, for those of you that don't run marathons or are new, she's talking about 4 hours. Yeah, talking about 4 hours of running, breaking 4 hours. It's a mental, trust me, it's a mental thing. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. And I was just laughing because probably about halfway through, the fatigue really starts to set in, and I just remember visualizing. Eduardo spent the entire training block hours and hours, weeks and weeks, sacrificing, weekends of, family time or time with friends, literally to train with me. And I remember I was seeing 2 things. I was visualizing 2 things. One, me crossing the finish line and, not breaking 4, which I knew was possible. And it was all the conversations of, oh, good job, Natalie, you did it. Oh, congrats, another marathon, right? And it was people would tell me congrats and they would be happy for me. And it would be okay. But deep down, my competitive nature, I knew that the conversations would be completely different if I actually did break 4 miles or 4 hours. And the conversations would be completely different. People would say, you annihilated your goal. Oh my God, in the heat. That's incredible. And it was going to be a completely different experience. And I visualized the look in Eduardo's face if I did break 4 hours and the tears like streaming down my face and the hug versus the, it's okay, babe. You did it. Casual hug. I'm so proud of you. And I remember telling him afterwards, I visualized that because it also was, am I going to actually be the inspiration that I said that I wanted to be? Am I going to actually hit this goal that I set out and that I've worked so hard for? And that so many people that I know were cheering for me, right? And it was in that moment when you're out on the course and when you are tired and fatigued, it's like, that's the time when you have got to show up. And I remember the guy that I was running with said to me, he was like, I can tell that you've been training, but now is your time to show the world that like you've been training.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it was super powerful just to imagine and visualize those two things. And I knew the conversations that I wanted to have. I wanted to hug Eduardo and I wanted us both to just feel that like we had accomplished that goal together.
Yeah.
And that was it was absolutely incredible. And I know for a fact that because I visualized it for like 10, 12, 15 miles, that's one of the reasons why I was able to do it. So yeah, it's so powerful. And it's proven, right, that there's so many athletes out there that visually win or visually
visualize the win.
Yeah, they visualize the win and it helps them do it, like race car drivers, basketball players.
Yep.
I mean, you see it in movies.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a proven technique that works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And think about this too. When we think about fear, you think about anxiety, right? When you think about anxiety, you want to be calm. You want to be ready, right? You want to know that you want to have confidence, right? You want to overcome these fear, whatever piece of fear that it might be, right? If it's, not, and I don't like to call it failures, but like, just coming up short, right? Not achieving your goal. Man, you want to give yourself that positive visualization, as Nat said, crossing that finish line, completing your race, having fun. And guess what? Even if you don't feel great throughout the race, if you completed in the goal that you completed in, guess what? That goes out the window. That doesn't matter because you did it, right? Like that sense of calm, that sense of, man, I did this, right? Like I completed this thing and I did it in the time that I meant to, and I trained for this. And I tell everyone, in every race, at every, marathon that I've been a part of, I tell them, I say, hey, this is the celebration. You've already trained for it, right? Like you've trained for this moment already. You've already did everything that you needed to do in order to get right here to the start line. So just take a inhale confidence, exhale doubt, right? Visualize yourself crossing that finish line, running these miles, enjoying it, going through your playlist, looking at your clock, whatever the case may be, drinking your hydration, taking your nutrition in, and you now are more confident. You are now prepared, and it gives you just that stronger sense of calmness, right? When you practice those visualization techniques and imagining yourself to be successful. Wow. Well, guys, I truly appreciate you all just spending the time and jumping on. And I know it was very unexpected, but, I do believe that not only did you bring the podcast, some quality information, but also just another level of, communication, another level of community, another opportunity that, we all can we can have more knowledge, better knowledge, stronger knowledge, and continue to be those brave leaders that are accountable to communicating each and every single day. Now, once again, this podcast is to encourage more and more people to be better today than they were yesterday. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your favorite host and MC, Ronell Blackman, and I hope you please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, subscribing and following us on this journey that we have here at Holla Black, so that we can continue to be seen and share a good word and hopefully change the world through love and knowledge. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to have some fun. Eduardo, Natalie, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate you for being a part of today's Holla Black episode. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's have a great day. Let's have a great month. Let's have a great week. Let's have a great year. And remember, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always just try one more time. That's Thomas Edison. Again, our verb of the day, our Bible verse of the day is, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, timidity, but the power, love,